All right. So once again, welcome to the tour of the Soapbox Engage Lightning Administrator experience. This is a webinar that we have been very excited to give, and that's because we're very excited about this new functionality that we're rolling out that is now available to all Soapbox Engage clients. So what we want to do is walk through some of the specifics of this major revamp of the administrator experience for your Soapbox Engage instance. The first thing to note is that everything we're going to show you as part of the Soapbox Engage Lightning experience is an optional thing at this point. You can turn on or off this particular user interface. It is completely at your discretion to do so. And part of the demonstration today will be revealing how you can do that. So if you're currently in Soapbox Classic, you'll know how to flip over to the new Lightning experience. And if you flip over to Lightning and just have a difficult time with it and want to rush back to something that feels familiar, you have the option to switch back to Classic. So we'll show how that can happen. The reason why we are excited about this experience is not only does it update the just overall look and feel of the administrator user experience, but it also provides some new functionality to you all as Soapbox Engage administrators. So things that you had not been able to do before, depending on the setup of your site and what apps you have with us, you now have access to, and we'll be highlighting a few of those. We've also just made it a lot easier to get the help and the informational resources you need when you need them, where you need them, as you're working through the administrator. We've got a few examples of specifics for that. We're also going to be showing some just enhanced information that we're displaying within the Soapbox Engage administrator. That isn't going to be really exclusive to the Lightning experience, but it's sort of happened around the same time, and it's worth showing those things as part of the webinar today. So without any further ado, what we see here is a view of the Soapbox Engage Lightning admin login screen. You'll notice, for those who use Salesforce and for those who have had experience in the Salesforce Lightning experience, that it looks shockingly familiar. That is entirely and utterly intentional. You may not know that in addition to the Salesforce Lightning experience being a whole new way to interface with Salesforce and its administrator, Lightning is its own design thing. So Salesforce actually released the Lightning design service or components to the wider public, and encourages folks to adopt that as a design standard. And we thought that that would be a fantastic idea, since so many folks who use Soapbox Engage are also using Salesforce. And we just really like the modern, clean look and feel that it has to it. So as we walk through the experience, you'll see a lot of similarities between Soapbox Engage Lightning and Salesforce Lightning. So that will hopefully make it easier for folks who use Salesforce to also just navigate around the Soapbox experience. Now, by contrast, if we look at the classic version of Soapbox, we'll see a different color scheme. We'll see different menu structures that we'll note here more specifically when we look at the Lightning experience. There's also just differences in the font and size and a number of other things. Within Soapbox Engage, we also had different menu structures. So depending on what apps your site has, you may have this menu structure with the drop downs, or you may have this menu structure here that is just flat with the individual items. And then there's the items over here in the navigation header that give you access to other items. What we're doing within the Soapbox Lightning experience is actually revamping that. So we are cleaning things up drastically within the header and creating multiple ways that you can navigate around the site that leverage the app launcher that Salesforce Lightning has. So this is the control panel within the Lightning experience, contrasted with the control panel that we have here in the classic experience. You'll notice that we've got the app launcher grid here, just like you see in Salesforce Lightning. And if we click on that, then we get to see really the heartbeat of how you can navigate around the Lightning administrator. We've got the series of tiles up here for our standard apps. Depending on what apps your site has, this list of tiles will be more or less populated. So if you have just donations, you'll see just the donations tile. If you have all of the different apps, as we have here in our demo instance, all of those will be laid out for you. So you'll notice that we've got the standard ones that you'd be familiar with as a Soapbox Engage client, with actions for online advocacy efforts, donations for online fundraising, petitions, which is our other online advocacy tool, shop, e-commerce, events for event registrations, forms that push data to Salesforce, and directories that pull data from Salesforce and display it on your website. This last one here, content, this is for folks who have our full content management system, because in addition to Soapbox being able to offer online engagement tools that integrate with Salesforce, we also have a full content management system that's available. So if you want your entire website to run on Soapbox, that is an option for you. So if your site has that because your whole website is on Soapbox, or if your site has that because, let's say, you have the user integration or portal service, and there's a few different web pages that are there to help facilitate the logged in user's experience on your site, that would be found here under content. Going further down, we've broken out some other elements that are utilities, items that don't strictly fall into the individual apps that we've noted above, but are important aspects of how you can manage your site. Some of these things will be the items that we'll highlight in a few moments as brand new things that we are opening up to you as a Soapbox administrator that provide functionality to you that you may not have had prior to this. So we'll dive into that more in a moment. Going further down, we'll see the all items section. So here is where we show on an app by app, or on an app by app basis, all of the different views that are contained within your Soapbox Engage administrator. So what this means is that if you know, hey, I want to go to the donations app and create a new donation form, you can simply click on the donations option, and from the donations control panel, you can dive into the pages view and create your new page. Or if you want, you can go ahead and click the app launcher and then search for anything you want in the nav bar or the search filter here at the top. And whatever page matches the text that you enter, at least in part, it will show you those options both in the standard apps and utility apps, as well as in all items. So that's great if you want to just click the app launcher, type in donations, and then jump to the individual donation admin view that you're interested in working with. So that's how we could get to the pages view right here. You'll see that it also has some elements that your site may not have, even if you have the donations app. That includes the fundraising pages option. This is part of our peer-to-peer functionality within Soapbox Engage's donations app. That's an add-on service. So if you're interested in offering peer-to-peer campaigns, particularly during this holiday giving season, or maybe to kickstart your 2020 online giving, that could be something that you could reach out and ask us about adding to your site. But this allows you to search really in whatever way is most comfortable for you. Maybe you're wanting to go ahead and find the configuration for a given app because it's something that you need to make some global change, but you can't really remember how to get to it. You can just start typing in config, and then it'll show you all of the different app configuration views that your site has relevant to it. So there's a number of ways that you can navigate around the system. Once you're in a given app, you can simply click the navigation items that are relevant to that app to move between the different views. Now, in addition to the revamped navigation structure that will be both more consistent across all of the Soapbox Engage sites, as well as make it very easy for you to add new apps or add new features for given apps that just fit nicely within this unified navigation structure. We also have reworked those funky links off to the right here, so they're not cluttering things up, by tucking them into this setup drop-down. So before we had view diagnostics, clear cache, global check-in, enabling the WYSIWYG editor or disabling the WYSIWYG editor. Those were all individual links that were shoved up in the navigation bar just on the right-hand side. Those are now more elegantly placed just in the setup drop-down. To the left of that setup dropdown, we've got help and training resources. And this is going to be a mix of contextual help items. So right now we are on the donations manager view. And because we are on the donations manager view, we get to see content in our knowledge base that is relevant to this view. So a resource for how to create and edit donation forms is one that's linked to here. We've got a knowledge base article that contains a video for customizing your first donation page. That's why this icon here is the play button. We've got information about linking your donation pages on the front end of your site, and then links to our troubleshooting section of the donations app knowledge base section. So as you navigate around the Lightning administrator, these links will change based on where you're at, because we're trying to just give you the help you need when you need it, where you need it. Below the contextual help for this page, we've got more resources. These are permalinks that are here for you to allow you to easily access other resources that will be helpful for you as you're managing your Soapbox Engage site. Those include the ability to jump to our support center's knowledge base, so you can search the content there. An easy way that you can jump to the submit a support ticket actually with our support center. In addition to that, we still have this button that allows you to click it so you can submit a ticket from directly within the administrator if you wish. We've also got an easy link to view upcoming training webinars like this one and our open office hours. Just in case you're not aware, we have lots of different training webinars that happen throughout the month. Usually there are 1 or 2 each week. We also have an open office hours session that is scheduled on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern. This is just drop in as you wish, just like in college when your professor would have their open office hours and anybody could just roll on through and ask whatever questions they needed. That is available to you every Tuesday. And just in case you can't remember, wait a second, when was open office hours? You can, from within your administrator, just click this and get a list of all of our training webinars and open office hours just by viewing the link that goes to. We also have easy access to our community product announcements. These are announcements that we post on the Soapbox Support Center that talk about recent updates to your Soapbox Engage site, whether that's new features or bug fixes or whatever we're needing to alert you to that has changed within Soapbox. Those are available, again, on our Soapbox Support Center. We also post them in the Power of Us Hub if you're interested in subscribing or joining our Soapbox Engage app group there. The last item here is the release notes. So whereas the community product announcements that are posted to the Soapbox Support Center are sort of more general in nature and give you the real meat of what a given update was about, the release notes get super specific. So if you're ever interested in seeing the gory details of each and every updates that we made as part of a given release, you can view those there. Again, all of this is available to you in the help and training dropdown, regardless of what page you're on within the administrator. To complete the threesome here with the navigation items, we've got our little penguin mascot who is beckoning you to click on him. And from there, you can click settings. This will open up your particular user account for the administrator and allow you to update, say, the password or username as you wish. And you can also use it to log out. Now, beyond the navigation structure update and the overall design refresh that we've got, there are, as mentioned earlier, a number of new functional elements that are available to you that previously were restricted to just certain individuals, certain sites. The first of these is our user manager. So up until this point, for Soapbox Engage instances that didn't have the full content management system, we had just one user that was available for the entire site. With the opening up of the user manager, you can create new backend users by accessing the user manager. The user manager is just available within the Utilities app. If we click on that, we go to the user manager. We can edit or create new users just from this interface. Now, if you have our Salesforce user integration or portal service that allows front-end users to create web user accounts, log in, and view a personalized user experience by doing so, you'll have this option here as well. For those that don't have that and are just accessing the user manager to manage administrator logins, then you would only have the home and user options. Moving on, we've also added access to our menu manager. Previously, for Soapbox Engage sites that didn't have the full content management system, you managed menus just within the individual apps. So if you were looking at a given donation page, you could customize the URL for that donation page just within that view. What this is doing, well, and what that accomplishes is that it actually goes ahead and creates a menu item for that donation page when you customize the link. And those menu items wind up here in the menu manager under Soapbox Engage menu. What we've done here by opening up the menu manager, which is part of the Utilities app, is just expose all of the menu items in one place so you can manage them as you wish. This is particularly helpful if you find that maybe there's an issue with loading a given view. It may be that there could be multiple forms, say donation pages or what have you, that have the same alias, the same link. And by coming to the menu manager and viewing the Soapbox Engage menu, you can go ahead and find those. You can actually search not just by the menu item name, but also the alias. So if you were to search by the custom link that you created for, say, a donation page, and typed it in as we've done here, you may find multiple ones. And with that, you can go ahead and select one and delete it, and then remove it from the trash. So that is an option to you that was not available before. In addition, another item within the Utilities app that's available is our Media Manager. Before, the way that you would upload images or documents was just within the WYSIWYG editor of a given page. So donation form, an event, what have you. We've opened the Media Manager up that is simply a view of your site's storage directories so that you can go ahead and add stuff directly to a given folder. You can manage those folders a bit easier. You can delete stuff if you need to. That's all available here, and you can do that with the default thumbnail view enabled, or you can flip over to a detail view, which gives just a straight up list. We've also granted access to our redirects app or component. This allows you to create basically just what it says, redirects. Create a URL that you can define that then can be used to send traffic that points to that URL to some other page. That could be a page that is a Soapbox Engage page that you created on your site, or it could be some other page that you've got on your main website or wherever else you want to point somebody to on the internet. So if you want to, say, have a permalink to, say, Giving Tuesday, like your site name / Giving Tuesday, but each year you want to update that to point to a different destination URL, different destination donation page. This could be one way that you could accomplish that by creating a redirect that you just updated each year. So beyond the changed look and feel, the navigation structure, the various resources that we've got up here in the header, the new functionality that you have access to with managing users and media elements and redirects, we also have some additional more rich content that is available to you when you go through different apps. And that primarily has to do with transaction details that can be found for donations and for shop e-commerce orders. To give an example, here we are in the Transactions Manager. And if we go ahead and click through to the detail of one transaction that happens to be a one-time donation, we can see a ton of information from the basics of that transaction to details about the payment itself, the contact information provided by the user, and then down to information about the Salesforce record that was created if you have Salesforce enabled for this particular donation page. So in this case, we did, and Soapbox created a lead successfully. We've got the lead ID here. We get to see the status of that lead, whether it was converted or not. We get to see the date it was converted. And then even more than that, we get to see details about the contact that the lead was either converted to or associated with, as well as the contact's account ID, and then the opportunity or donation ID and name itself. Ton of information here. If this particular lead had been created but not converted, it would simply show not converted, and then these other details would not be visible. If, and this is most critical when troubleshooting, if there was an issue on the Salesforce side when Soapbox attempted to create the lead record, whatever response Soapbox got back from Salesforce would be displayed here. So let's say you've got some custom validation rule that for whatever reason is making it impossible for Soapbox to create and convert this particular transaction lead. That message that we get back from Salesforce would be displayed here. You could learn the reason for the failed attempt to save the lead record, and then take steps to address that on the Salesforce side. The final item here, we get to see a link to the donation form itself. Moving on to a different transaction type, this is an initial recurring donation. And that's got a little bit different information, including down here at the bottom, this is actually related to a peer-to-peer donation form. So we get to see not just the donation form name, but also the individual fundraiser's page title, the fundraiser's username, and if this individual who gave the donation had a message, it would show that here. We also see the IP address of the computer that processed or sent this donation. And then if there were subsequent recurring donations that were associated with this initial recurring donation, we'd see those details here as well. So we've got a lot more content that is available to you as an administrator when you're looking for details about transactions like donations. The last thing to note is this is most relevant for folks that are just beginning to use Soapbox and want to set up Soapbox to be able to accept payments, to be able to interface with Salesforce. We have a setup assistant that allows you to see the status of the various steps that are required to do those things, to connect to Salesforce, to make sure Salesforce is ready to receive data from Soapbox, and to make sure that you have payment processor credentials set up and working. So in this particular view, we're able to walk through and see where we are in the process. And if we've completed something, you'll see that green check mark here off to the left. In this particular Soapbox site right now, we are tied to the Soapbox Salesforce Sandbox account, has that for a number of S's. So that is something that is highlighted here by there not being any green progress on the entering of our Salesforce credentials or preparing Salesforce, installing Salesforce, or installing Soapbox Engage packages in our Salesforce instance. But as we work through the process of entering our credentials, so we're no longer using the Soapbox demo account, we'll see the various elements that get updated as we work through, either by us reading the individual knowledge base articles related to each step, or by Soapbox actually evaluating our Salesforce instance to make sure that a given package that is needed because we have a certain app has been installed in that Salesforce instance. So this is a great way for those who are just getting started with Soapbox to walk through that process. It's also kind of a similar view to the Diagnostics view that we can access here if we go to the setup icon and click View Diagnostics to get just a quick check of the various services to make sure that everything is working properly. That is the Soapbox Engage Lightning experience. For anybody who wants to begin using this, all you have to do is click the Switch to Lightning UX button in the classic version. If you ever want to switch back, you just need to go to the setup icon and click Use Classic UX, and that'll flip you back. You'll always have the ability to flip between the two. One thing to note is that when you do change, it affects all of the users for your administrator. It's not user specific. So that'll be something that you'll want to be aware of. But that is how you flip back and forth. If your site does not have that Switch to Lightning UX link, feel free to go ahead and open a support ticket at support.picnet.net, and we'll be happy to go ahead and make sure that that is available to you so you can begin using the Soapbox Lightning User Administrator. Thanks so much for attending the webinar. We appreciate your time, and we hope you're as excited about the new interface as we are.